All right, sounds good.
What up, headbangers? How you doing? I'm Robb, and welcome to the Greasiest of all time. Today we're chilling with Langley-based alternative metal band, Thank You Driver. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good. Why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us how you guys all got together?
Well, my name's Hayden. I play bass and I do vocals for the band.
Yeah, and I'm Damon. I'm lead vocals, so the screamed vocals mostly.
Yeah. We met in high school, like back in like grade 9, really. But the guitarist and I, Jeremy, have been playing together since like grade 7. So like almost like, I want to say like 10 years almost, like 9 or 10 years now. It's insane. Then yeah, we just met up with Damon in high school. Then we started jamming with Jeremy's brother Ethan. He was an absolute god on drums. But you know, that's basically how we met.
Yeah. We started off mostly doing covers and stuff, so we're all into like that 90s alternative stuff. So that's how we started out.
Yeah, and then like when we got to like grade 12, so like maybe, I'm almost like 23 now, so that was like 6 years ago, maybe now, no 5. Bad at math. But yeah, we were in like grade 12 and started doing like shows in Vancouver, and that's when we started doing a lot of our own original writing. And I think only until like maybe last year, I want to say, we like found a sound we're really happy with.
Yeah, and your guys' sound is really trippy. Like I listen to a lot of different styles of music, and I can like honestly say you guys are a mix of like Fever 333's hardcore aspect, rage aspect, you know what I mean? Then you've got like Pixies Modest Mouse, and then you've got like Alexis on Fire. And I love it because it's like all bands that I absolutely love merged into one thing. And I'm like, yeah, you guys, you know you're from BC because there's no limits to the genres here. I find that like Ninja Spy, metal reggae, you know what I mean? It's a unique place. We have a unique aspect on music in BC where I find it's different than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would say it's like almost too big for the scene in some ways, I'd say. Like I just don't feel like there's enough support with like how big metal is here. Like but I think, you know, people like you and like new venues opening up, hopefully once COVID is no longer a thing, that you know, we'll hopefully have a scene that supports metal to the point where it should be, I suppose, right?
Yeah, like when it should be. Like 10, 15 years ago, I remember it being super tight knit.
Yeah.
Like bands would rent out small venues because they wanted to do all ages shows, and it's slowly changed into this, no, we're going to stick to ourselves, I find. And you get the occasional bands who are still that genuine, they have that genuine like past mentality. But a lot of the new bands, I find a lot of bands that are having to come up in social media time, it's a total different monster you're tackling, right?
Yeah, and like on social media too, like it's really saturated. The market's really saturated out there, so it's kind of hard to get out there if you're a band, and especially, I mean, already to begin with, like, you know, the metal scene in Vancouver. I mean, it's getting bigger now, but there weren't a whole lot of venues that really supported it, and now of course with COVID, there's gonna be a lot less.
Yeah. My buddy Mike works at a venue. I can't remember which one it is, but they put on a lot of really good shows down there. And my other buddy Shane, I'm pretty sure he still does it, but he puts on a lot of really good shows as well. And yeah, there is a very tight group in Vancouver for bands. Like the bands in BC definitely have stuck together.
Yeah.
And it's nice, but it sucks that there is no support. Like we used to have Moonins in Kelowna, which was a strictly metal bar. It was a Viking pub that only really had metal and rock. So that shutting down was a big kick in the balls for the Okanagan for sure. Because now we have no venues that accept metal. And I know there's one or two in Vancouver that are left after COVID.
Yeah, it's I mean, when I was going to shows in Vancouver, it was all like, unless it was a big band coming through town, it was all like dive bars.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that's like
which is
gone.
fine, but
Well, yeah, and I mean, like I've played like shout out to Voodoo's, which was like the diviest of all dive bars, and anyone in Penticton will be like, yeah, Voodoo's, but it like they didn't care what you played. They opened their doors to any band,
yeah, that's awesome.
and
Yeah.
we had the best shows there. Like you could packed, like in your face, like 100 people sitting in a tiny little bar, and I'm like, those are my favorite shows. But like, I feel like that's dead now. It's almost you have to like step your game up, and it's hard because when you're an emerging band, say a year old, and you're trying to get your Facebook likes and you're trying to get people to listen to your music, you don't have the Facebook likes, for example. So people will go check out your page and oh, they don't have that many. They probably don't have good music. When in reality, likes on social media have nothing to do with the talent of the band. And
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that that's kind of a really annoying point in the music industry that it's created itself as it's a popularity contest.
Mhm.
And you're never going to find good bands and good emerging bands in a popularity contest because they're brand new. You know, like that's my biggest struggle. And the main reason we started this is that trying to get heard is impossible, especially in a flooded market and a market that has an attention span of a goldfish. You know, like
yeah, exactly.
people don't have the attention span to listen to a full album anymore. So you have to release a single. Well, what's next? Half a song? You
Yeah,
know, like I don't. It's weird how it's going.
it's all gonna be ads. Everyone's
Yeah,
songs are just ads.
yeah.
30
30-second
second
music videos. Like
Yeah. Our next song actually has a Manscaped commercial in the middle of it.
that's so funny. Like, and you guys have definitely have like being a new band. Like you start your album released in 2020. Your EP. So
Yeah.
I mean, you guys started right when
Oh, yeah.
COVID was like when Trudeau was like, yeah, no one's going outside.
Yeah,
So I
pretty
can
much.
imagine you've only had either a handful of shows under with that album, that EP, or you still haven't even had a chance to rock it live, which is
well, yeah, it's been. I mean, that's funny you mention that because like I remember, like Hayden said. I mean, we've been off and on since high school, and we only started doing this really seriously like a little over a year ago, and drop actually like making our own music and stuff.
mhm.
And yeah, so when we were when we started recording our EP, like COVID wasn't a thing yet, right? And then we took a little break to figure out how we were going to do the production and everything like that. And then that's like right around when COVID hit, and we're kind of like, are we going to release this like in this time? And we decided we were going to do it because we didn't really see an end in sight yet. So I'm glad we did it because it's nice to have music out there, but yeah, it would have been nice to like support it with some shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's definitely yeah, 100%. We like my band got to play 2 shows before lockdown, and we had a pretty big show lined up for November of 2020, and yeah, that's never gonna happen now, which sucks. But at the same time, we sat down and buckled down, and we did an EP as well, a 4-song EP, and I'm thankful for COVID, to be honest, not for the amount of lives that's dealt with and that, but like the fact that bands could sit down and focus and do what they love for an
Oh, yeah.
entire year. You know what I mean? That doesn't
There's one
usually
silver
happen.
lining.
Yeah, like how often do you get no work? You know, you got money coming in, you get to write music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in our case, me and Hayden are both still in school, so we got that going on as well. So
Yeah,
we don't get too much of a break, but it is nice to be able to just to focus on writing songs, like just make music. So
hmm
that's nice to be able to just focus on that for a little bit.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's definitely turned it into a whole other beast with marketing, because now instead of being able to just like talk to people at a show, give them your link, and like in 2 seconds they're liking it, you have to physically get on and go message people and drop links in certain groups and email out the asshole. Like if you want to get anybody to hear you, like
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
handful of wicked underground radios out there right now that are being super helpful, like Scotland Radio, Berg Radio, Berg Studio in like South Africa. There's a ton of
Okay.
wicked people, and I mean, there is a community. It's just kind of like hidden. I feel it's
Yeah,
hidden behind this cloud of popularity, social media, and this wall of just blah bands that get seen first. It's a weird time to be a band. And
Yeah, exactly.
sure.
And I totally wonder what it's going to be like after COVID. Because like what we've experienced beforehand, like when we used to do shows in Vancouver, we were underage. So even back then, like the picks for a venue were very slim. With COVID shutting down all these venues for like a scene that already has a pretty weak infrastructure, like I feel like it will go back to like what you said was like a popularity contest mostly. Because like if I was a manager of like a venue, I'd want to try and pick bands who I think would bring in a crowd. So I'd probably check out their Instagram or their Facebook and see how many likes they had on, on their social media sites. And
yeah,
if they don't have a lot, I might think twice about maybe adding them on, despite their music's good or not.
yeah, and see that's where I think, which sucks because promoters, record labels, and managers, that has become their norm for finding music. But at that point, how long has a band put time and effort into building this product and this career before, like, a record label will look at you unless you have 100,000 likes.
Right.
You did all the legwork. Now they want to sign you. Like your
Yeah.
music's been good the whole time. What does it have to do with likes? So I really think that things will change, but I think that it's not going to change in a way where we're reliant on record labels or promoters, things like that. I think it's going to have to, like, if we want a show, we're going to have to either rent equipment and go rent a church like we used to have to do back in the day. But I definitely think that the bar scene is dead. Like as much as we'd like to play to people our age aren't the ones who are going to buy our albums.
Mm.
It's the younger generation that isn't really being brought into live music, because like I guarantee if you did a poll, there's probably like 80% of the younger generation that's in high school right now that haven't seen a live concert.
Funny you
That's a
say
good
that
point.
though, because like back when we were in high school, there's, like I said, no venues really for us to play at. Like only a few like venues on Granville that would let us play since we were underage.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, from being in Langley, there was absolutely nothing for music in
Yeah.
there. So
Just farms, man.
Yeah, no, yeah. You want to show you
sucks,
gotta go.
man.
You want to show you the closest you can go is like Surrey, and then you got to get to
Mhm.
Vancouver. But like even Surrey,
Yeah,
it's not really a
we did
good
some
venue.
shows in Surrey, but
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much just Wally though. So
the
Yeah.
market's not really there for it.
It's wicked for hip hop. Like you want a wicked hip hop
Oh,
show,
yeah,
go to
yeah.
Surrey, right? Like you got the
Yeah,
Stomp Down
yeah.
Boys and fuck yeah, but metal, that's like I don't think I've actually heard of a metal band out of Surrey. I haven't met any yet, at least.
I don't know if I have. Trying to
Wait,
think.
There's
Maybe.
wicked bands from everywhere in the lower mainland, and it's kind of a weird thing too, because there's so many unique bands. Like you have the Fifth Circle, and they're like super trippy, and they're like humorous band, and they're like just down to earth people. And then you have all these other bands that are like emerging from Vancouver because it's such a new market, right? It's a big wave about to hit from Vancouver, and I can't wait to see what happens. And it's just sad that we have no venue, so it's like we have to travel to Alberta for the closest good venue, which is
That's sort of how I feel too.
yeah, and
About the big wave coming.
or you got to get a passport and go to Seattle, which is really not a bad option because Seattle's got a wicked music scene and always has. So
It's true.
it's just the passport thing, and getting the legalities of being able to be in a band in the States is a weird concept, especially while Trump was in power. There was no way you could do it. It was super weird. But yeah, definitely a big change. And I think it's going to be in the more of the hands of the musicians.
Oh yeah,
It'll
definitely.
be interesting to see. But yeah, I guess the question is when.
Yeah. So hopefully
No one
we get
knows really. So
Well, yeah, I've been brainstorming the more and more I talk to like BC bands and local like Alberta bands and stuff. I'm tempted to just like get a gathering of people, put on a festival and have like 10 bands play throughout a 1 day festival because we don't have that, but Europe does. They have like wicked 1 day festivals where they have a ton of bands, and it's like, well, if they're doing it, we may as well. Like they're taking it in their own hands. They don't look for promoters to do it because nobody's promoting it, right? You have a handful of good metal promoters in BC, but most of them are either have died out now because of COVID because their entire living is based off of booking bands, and
Yeah.
or they look for the biggest acts, so it's hard to get in. So I think if we did it as like a collective and had everybody do it, it would be a pretty wicked thing. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do in the long run. Like that'll be a down the road project, but we'll get you guys on that because that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be
that'd be
awesome.
sick.
I want to get.
We'd love that.
I'd love to get as many local bands as I can, like Canadian. Get some guys from the East Coast if I can. But yeah, I'm getting off track with life and with COVID. How has it been? Besides, you guys have been able to record. Have you guys been allowed to be like? Is your circle still there? Like you guys have been able to hang out with each other, write music in person, or has it been online?
I've been able to see Jeremy and Ethan a bit, but we haven't been around Damon too much with just his personal issues. I guess won't get into that.
Well,
Obviously,
not personal for me, but
Not
yeah,
personal for you?
I have family members that are like at risk, right? So I gotta be really careful. And
Yeah, 100%. My mom's recovering from breast cancer, so I get it 100%.
oh wow, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
no, it's a scary situation, but it's at least you guys have been able to get your stuff done. And I mean, I guarantee you've got stuff or other stuff cooking up. You know what I mean? Like you just released an EP, which means there's other stuff coming, and that's going to be really cool to hear.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
For the most part, we're just working online, sending each other tracks, and then we're just working on off of that.
Yeah. How was your experience recording that EP?
That last one, pretty
Yeah.
good. It was great. Like we started recording it in October 2019. We did the drums at Nimbus with
Okay.
Anna McCarthy. He's a really good friend of ours and a pretty decent, not just decent, but he's a really good sound engineer. Like he did the drums for us. But then, yeah, just a few months after that, we just started transitioning to do the rest of the recording ourselves, just because like he had some career decisions to make up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If it wasn't for COVID, we'd probably be recording with him again. Honestly, like it was a really good time. But we got the tools, we got somewhat the know-how to do everything on our own, and that's what we're doing. And it's sounding really good so far. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, most of our EP is DIY.
Yeah.
Other than the drums, but our drummer mixed the rest of it. Other than the drums, ironically enough. But yeah, we were really happy with how it turned out, and now we're hoping that since we all have more experience with that kind of thing, that this next one's going to sound even better.
Yeah, definitely. And I had a band earlier today. They're still in high school, and they do like black metal, fucking like I said,
Yeah.
like the lead singer sounds like a dying pig in the best of ways. But even them, I was saying from their first demo, if anyone else would have listened to it, probably would have been like, I'm good. But I listened to the demo, the whole thing, and then I went to their latest single, and the progression in 6 months these kids accomplished. I was like, holy fuck, you guys, like, well played. Because it sounds like two different bands. It sounds like a garage band versus a band that would be touring. And it was just them, and they're like 15, 16-year-old kids.
That's
But
wicked.
they delved in, like they dove into YouTube, and they were like, how the hell can we produce our own music? So in the day and age that we are, independence is wicked, but it's also our biggest downfall, because now we are alone. We have to become our own marketers, our own managers. It does take a lot away from the fun of being in a band. But if it's a career for you, like a career, this is what you guys want to do with your life, then it's never a burden. It's lessons to learn. And I definitely think the more you do it, it becomes easier, because you're at a stage right now where, like, I can't remember how many likes you guys have on Facebook, but like it grows so fast depending on how much you're willing to put in. Because like, for example, I think it was 200 likes in one day just from talking to other bands on like in metal groups and stuff like that, and just kind of networking with other people. And I find that that's what we have to do if we want to do anything, because we can't go out and perform, and there's such a flooded market that you have to kind of be like, hey, and take their attention. And it's kind of like you, like for Hayden, you said that you were a fan and you were watching it, and then you just sent me the link just out of shits and giggles, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, fuck yeah. Like, I checked your guys' shit out. I'm like, it's totally unique. I'm having these guys on. And that's the thing, is like, I don't have any limits. Like, it's just to help people. And it's cool to see the different bands, because like I'm an addict for finding the newest band. So for me, realistically, I'm creating the greatest life choice for me, because I get to interview new bands every day. And I'm like, I got the hit the tip on the newest band. So it's like, it's kind of cool, because there are so many bands that are unique and you guys have cool sounds. And I think the more that all of us network and work together, we'll create this cool thing where we all just like blow up. You know what I mean? And it's done by us, for us, by us. And I can't wait for that to happen, because the BC scene alone used to be so tight knit, and I want to see it back there. I want BC to be the place where bands come, not a big band says the North American tour in flames, and and then there's only one Canadian date, and it has to be Quebec, and they're like, you know. So I'm like, Vancouver, like I've seen some of my favorite bands in Vancouver. Like I saw Deftones open for Slipknot there. Why are these bands not coming back? It's because our scene is dead. No one wants to come to Vancouver because there's only a handful of venues, and the ones that are open cost so much to book. Like the Commodore, if they would open up to like smaller bands, I think they do sometimes. You can rent it out, but like that's the perfect fucking venue. I love going to that show, a place for shows. You know what I mean? It's
sick.
You got your stage, you're like right there. I would like to see the venues where all the bigger bands are usually going, slowly open up for local shows and make local shows another thing, because they used to be badass, and it's kind of dying, and it's sad because there's so many good bands out there.
Mm-hmm. Like I felt like I've discovered more like good new bands from Vancouver because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, no, for sure.
Dave and I actually just recently got into this. I don't know where they're from, but they're definitely from BC. This band called Carcosa.
Carcosa. Yeah, they're from Vancouver, man.
They're from Vancouver. Okay, cool.
I'll have to check them out. That's dope.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely want to talk to as many.
No, they're sick.
Guys.
They're good. Well, their guitarist for sure. I'm not sure if their singer does, but their guitarist has a pretty popular YouTube channel.
Oh, cool.
If you've ever seen Andrew Baina.
I don't think I have. No, I'll definitely look into it.
Well, he's in it, but yeah, they rule.
Yeah. And there's this other band from Kelowna, actually, called Stasis, and I've been so obsessed with them lately. Like, they're just another post-hardcore band. And
yeah. Funny enough, I think I've heard the name.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a bunch of bands out of Kelowna, like a fuck ton of bands, and that's what sucks, is we lost our own venue, our only venue, right? So, like, sucks, it really depends on what style you're into, because we've got like Drop Dead Fred they remind me of In Flames, and then you've got your power metal and like Iron Maiden, which is my buddy's band, Arc and Fire, and then there's another band from Kelowna named Living Machines, I believe, and like, holy fuck, man, these guys are so talented, and just like the bands and music that comes out of BC is so good, but you only get a handful that get out, like The Wild, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they're from Kelowna as well, but they're that rock, that biker rock, and it's not like technical metal in my mind. So because they chose that rock aspect, they got picked up way quicker than a metal band would, and I find that tends to happen with the bands in Kelowna.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like I was saying earlier, like the music's bigger than the infrastructure in BC.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't wait for it to get better, though. You know, hopefully, if it does.
Yeah. What's your guys' plan first thing when things open up? Are you just gonna go ape shit on shows or?
Oh, yeah, we
Hopefully.
hope so.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we're getting prepared to do. You know, have enough songs to be able to play like longer shows and just practice those songs, make sure everything's tight, make sure we sound good, get our following up, like get out there so that these venues will book us. And yeah, so slowly getting ready for when things get back to normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a way, we're just building up our set list, like Damon said.
Yeah, no, we're in the exact same boat where I think we had a 5-song EP and we're like scrapping it. And then we've already recorded and released it, but we just don't want to touch it ever again, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're in that, but we have our guitar player is actually in Nottingham, UK.
Wow.
He was supposed to immigrate here, but because COVID, everything paperwork slowed down, and the time before he got accepted, basically they sent him back. And so once he gets back, then we're just gonna go fucking tits to the wall, you know what I mean? Like that's all we want to do. So I definitely know that every band in BC will be fucking going hard because we don't have those venues, and it's like it's gonna be like venues are gonna be booked out the ass. So it's gonna be a weird concept to see because it's gonna be like 4 or 5 bands to a bill, maybe even more, you know what I mean? Just to cram everybody
That's
in. It'll be
awesome,
cool.
though.
Yeah, like that'll be wicked.
I'm so
Especially in like a
pumped for it.
small venue. It'd be so
Oh, yeah.
cool. If there was anything in the industry that you could change, what do you guys think it would be?
To Vancouver specifically, definitely more venues accommodating the metal. Because like there's way too many like acoustic coffee shops out there that just like you can't do stuff with. You can't busk even basically without getting fined, and it's tough for metal musicians in Vancouver for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As a whole, you probably heard this a few times before, but I'd probably just say, you know, like more royalties to bands.
Yeah, the
Just more
Spotify
exposure
thing.
to bands even too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. The that's definitely one thing that gets brought up a lot on the show is the Spotify. It'd be cool to see somebody who's really good at making computer programs.
Yeah.
And loves metal music, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, somebody out there, build a brand new site designed for metal bands that's a mixture between MySpace and Facebook and Spotify, but it's just strictly like bands go there, upload their profile. There's a fucking challenge. You can like battle other bands on the front page. Like, I don't know, you can do so much with it, but you would make such a better market appealing to musicians from a musician standpoint. If a musician was to create it because they'd understand, they wouldn't be like, how can I get tons of fucking money off of these guys and pay them 0.000 fucking 47 of a cent or whatever it is a play. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, how did we go from rock stars were like the most idolized thing on the planet to being like, they're less than a cent for a song play? That's a pretty degrading concept if you break it down.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard, it's like, it seems like most bands nowadays, like make most of their income through their merch rather
Merch and
than
tours.
their actual music.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that means they're touring and they're selling their merch at shows, and like the music's not making them a dime unless they're selling physical copies.
Mm-hmm. You do get the unique souls nowadays who love CDs. I was talking with a band from the UK, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and like his fucking wall is just CDs, and I'm like,
Yeah,
yes,
that's wicked.
I want more people like you to be alive, because I'm a total CD slut too. Like my collection's in my storage unit because it's ridiculously like broken cases and stuff that I've had for like 12 years, 15 years. I'm like, I can't get rid of this album. It's too good.
Yeah, and there's those ones that are like, my brother's kind of got the same deal that you just said, but there's bands there that he has CDs of that, you know, just picked up off MySpace or whatever, bought their CD, and then they've never ever been heard from again, and you can't find them unless you do a deep search on YouTube. They're not on Spotify. They're not on Facebook pages or anything like that. But some
Yeah,
good shit
no.
out there that's just unheard of.
One of my favorite bands of all time is actually from Kelowna, and I got to open up for them for one of my very first shows, and they were called the Bleeding Alarm. And if I don't know if you guys ever remember like Stutterfly or Cry the Afflicted, but like there were some really dope bands about 10, 15 years ago, and Bleeding Alarm's lead singer ended up going to Stutterfly, and they started a new band called Secret and Whisper, and the band was insanely good, and they ended up getting like really big in like Japan because their style was so unique. But like it's just so cool to see local bands and the talent they have moving, but then when they do fall out and they kind of fall off the map, and you still can have a piece of their album that's like, oh, like these guys were so good. I wish that they made it somewhere. There's a band from Vancouver called Your House back in the day, and like it was like a big reggae band with a hip-hop singer and then another singer, and fuck man, I wish that they made it because they were so talented, but it was just the market is so hard to get hurt, right?
Yeah.
And it was right at the end of like the MySpace when YouTube was taking over, so it was a really weird time because it was the bands that were so used to doing the live show thing now had to understand that it became a product online. It was just a weird time in music. It's I'm waiting for the scene to grow again though. I'm like super stoked for it because I just want to see bands play. Like I'm gonna be front row at every band I see.
Oh. Yeah, I'm really pumped for COVID to go away. Like as you were saying earlier, like venues will be packed of really awesome bands, and I'm just really excited for that to happen again.
Yeah, same here. Is there anything you guys want to say before we wrap up? Because I noticed the timer's counting down on us. I didn't realize that.
Check us out.
Yeah,
We got
basically.
Instagram. We're on Facebook, on Spotify at Thank You Driver. So yeah, go buy
Yeah,
our
definitely
CD.
check them out. They've got a hell of a unique style, like super trippy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Thanks for coming by. And once you guys release your next bit of music, let me know because we'll have you back on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right,
Thank
you
you.
too.
See you, man.
Thanks.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. This is my customer service voice. Thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and fucking hit the bell, all right? So you can stay up to date on all the new episodes.